We're coming to you live from the premier comedy club in Lexington, Comedy Off Broadway. It is Crossroads Comedy Project with Ish and Josh. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Sardam.
And I'm Ish Shalash.
And we have on our sports desk today, Madison Pohl is with us as well.
How's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm glad you're here. But our special guest for today is a comic that's been killing it here at Comedy Off Broadway all weekend long. This guy has been on Late Night with Conan and Fallon. Tonight Show is starring Jimmy Fallon. He's a fantastic comic. We're very proud that he's here with us today. Nate Bargatze is here with us.
Right.
Welcome.
Thank you. I always like being in a comedy club empty. I'm always a big fan. Like, I don't know, because I feel like you don't ever look at it from here.
Right.
So you don't ever get to see. There's always people in here and stuff. So it's one of my favorite things is an empty comedy club. Like,
well, that's good as long as you're not performing it for another.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that plenty of times too.
I'm sure.
That's also Sure.
I also like the fact that you enjoy when comics have problems getting to the stage. I understand that.
Yeah. We had trouble the other night. It's super fun to watch.
With Sean?
Comics they can't, because it was like first show was like sold out already, so it's hard to get. It's not hard. You have to go down the middle, but if you don't know that, it's very hard.
Yeah. Right.
And so then they, Brian and Sean both, they said they had trouble.
Well, what was hilarious to me is, Sean obviously made the first error, but Brian was watching and then he repeated it.
Yeah.
Sean was
That's
like, I figured you would see that I had trouble.
Yeah.
Well, when Sean was trying to go down the middle, there was like a traffic jam. That's why he ran. And I was like, "What's up, Sean?" I didn't even know he was featured. I had no idea he was featuring because he was just here to watch the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. He was not planning on going up. He brought his son for the first time to come see.
He was going to do a guest set.
Okay.
Because Bates knew him, and so we were like doing that. But then Scott got sick or something. The guy that's usually here, and so then it just was like, oh,
yeah. Hey,
that's why you always show up. If you're a comic, always show up.
That's
you
right.
Never know.
I'm always, even if I'm not working, I always show up here just to hang out and whatever. I mean, granted, I got a little ways to go before I'm going to walk through the door and go, "Hey, MC tonight," but
Yeah.
Well, Josh doesn't really have life.
That's true.
You have nowhere else to go.
All I do is comedy, so I have no life. He's right.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Another thing that I was reading about you that I really want to talk to you about is you went overseas and you performed for the troops, correct?
Yeah.
In Iraq and Kuwait.
Yeah.
I'm a veteran of 16 years, so thank you very much.
Thank you, man. That's awesome.
I really liked hearing that you did that. How was that for you? I mean, I know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know, I saw Lonnie Love when she came over when I was overseas, and I tell you, it means the world to us. And I think you go over there as a crappy comedian and get a great response out of us. And I can't imagine you going over there. You must have killed it. It must have been crazy.
It was, every show. I always said it was like a thank you to, because it's like, you guys are very nice and you thank us. And they were like, no, thank you guys. Like, we're not doing anything. Like, what you guys do is unbelievable. So I always I kind of wish I would have joined the military. If I didn't get into comedy, I might have, just because I wasn't doing. It's not like I was going to school or something, or I didn't have no kind of plan.
Yeah.
And then I got into it, so that's why it was a big deal for me to go over there, just because it was I felt like I should have been doing it anyway.
Well, that's really cool.
So it was, but it's unbelievable. I mean, you do shows. Some of them they're weird situations, but the crowds. All the troops are very nice and laugh. I mean, we did shows guys at 10 a.m. and they were on an overnight mission and they just got back and they just want to go to bed. And but we're there, and you're just let them go to bed. We don't. And they're like, no, you came here. We're gonna, And then they would sit and they enjoyed it, and it was very nice. And one guy, I was that show. One of them, I was standing in front of where the food was, and one guy came in and just got food, and just I had to move. I was like, I'm sorry, out of the way. He was but they were just zoned out, where he's like, I just want to go to bed, dude.
Yeah.
Who were some of the other comics that were over there when you were doing that?
I went with this guy, Scott Kennedy, who died 5 years ago, maybe a little bit less. But Scott did a lot of that. He went over for 2 weeks every month for a couple years. So he was doing, and he's so you'd go over with him, and he was really big on going to like all the FOBs, like so you'd go to like Camp Liberty or something in Iraq, and then you would from there go to like the places where these guys weren't getting any. You know, Kuwait, like if you were in the main bases in Kuwait, I mean, not that you had a ton of entertainment, but that's where everybody went.
Right.
So if you were at the big one, you did get to see like some big guys, and then so the best was going to places where like, oh, I haven't seen anything, like
Yeah.
And so you'd go to these tiny little bases, and where maybe there's no microphone, and maybe there's not anything set up.
Yeah.
And you just go and put on a show. But that was all Scott. Scott did really good, doing that. Had a ton of airline miles.
Oh, I bet.
The most. I mean, going twice every 2 weeks, like. But he was. It was super cool to do it with him. And then I went with other guys. This guy Mike Pace and. Jackie Cation, my buddy Joe List, and Louis Katz. We went one trip together, which was very cool. And we stopped off in Istanbul.
In Turkey.
Yeah, in Turkey. Went to a bathhouse.
Yeah.
Where they did where like Taken 2 was filmed or something. Taken 2 had a fight in a bathhouse, and we went to that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, bathhouse was pretty wild. We didn't know what
to expect out of it.
Yeah, over there, you're like, I don't even know. We just did a layover where you could get like a 17-hour layover.
Yeah.
And just to go, like, because we're like, you're going to be there. Fun fact, if you do get a layover that long, they give you a hotel room. We didn't know that. And
Really?
we learned it.
Yeah.
Because we were going to get like some hotel room just so we could like shower or something, because we were on this long flight. But if you have over like a certain amount of hour layover, they have to give you a hotel.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's what this podcast is about. Just travel advice.
Travel advice.
Yeah.
If you go to a bathhouse in Turkey.
Yeah, if you go to bathhouse in Turkey, they have to give you a hotel. Don't let them tell you otherwise.
I found it really cool that some other big name comics recognized you on different articles. Like there was one in Rolling Stone with Mark Maron.
Yeah.
And he stated that you're a comic that should be big. Mm. And obviously it's a compliment. But I'm reading this, and as a comic myself, I'm going, hey, how do you feel about Mark Maron?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it must be wild. Like, how long have you been doing comedy now?
Be 15 years in January.
Years. Yeah. So I mean, this is a long road. Most comics, they spend a long time, and you're getting a lot of recognition now, and I think that's amazing, and it's got to feel really good.
Yeah, it does. It's unbelievable. There's been a lot of guys that have been very nice to me, and Maron's been one. Maron was a guy that wasn't like. I met Maron when I was in New York, and I remember him coming in, and he was like fine. I never, but that was when he was known for being grouchier or whatever, and. Right. When he got his podcast, it was always very interesting to watch him. He kind of changed. Like, I mean, the way he interviewed his podcast, it went from a guy that was like just trying to scrape by and try to still keep something going to then this thing becomes this huge successful. You're doing the president, and
right.
It's and just everything's changing. Maron's, just truly a truly great guy, and. He was very nice, and him to say that was a big deal when he did it. First thing he did was tweet something about me, because when I first was with him, and I remember that. Like I got my phone blowing up. At first I didn't know what it was, and then they said that Maron did that, and that stuff really it was huge. It was mattered. He never really said stuff about comics that much, and so he's always been very nice. To me, and it's been fun to and now we've become friends, which is very cool. Like I'll go with him, like I'll open for him some, and it's just really it's for us to hang out. Like
right.
He's a great dude.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So what really got you into comedy?
I like I said earlier, like there wasn't like I was doing anything. I was like doing some kind of job that I was reading water meters, like a job that I could go back to. And I always say I'll go back when this falls apart, but it's the way we all start is like you're funny or your friends say you're funny, and then you're kind of like want to do it. And even though my dad's a magician, so even though he was in kind of this entertainment field, it's completely a different world. So it wasn't like I didn't know how to start. I didn't know what to do, or I wasn't going to. I mean, we watched comedy growing up, but I didn't watch it. You know, I wasn't like staying up late to watch Carson or something. You know, like all these stories. Like, I liked comedy. I think you don't even think of it as even something you could do. Like, it's so crazy. Even though my dad was a teacher too. So, but you just stand up. You just don't see how. I remember the first show. The first live show I went to was Jim Brewer, it was at Zany's in Nashville, and I remember just being like, I was like blown away. I remember like that's when you think like everybody on the show is probably a millionaire. And that's before you realize that. Then you get into comedy and you're like, no, that first guy maybe made $10. But you just think everybody's up there, everybody's a star. You know, I do remember like the way they look at us all, either with an audience, you know, after a show. Whether they know you or they don't know you, but people do look at you differently. Like you went up there, so they don't know what your life is like.
Yeah, right.
And they're amazed by the fact that you even get up there. And so I remember like seeing that, and it was just very cool. And it's like just to make people laugh for that long, and you know, it's unbelievable. You know, I mean that's at the beginning too. Like when you hear, I remember the first time hearing Regan was when I first started. And I was in Chicago, like, and I remember hearing him, and just remember hearing a guy, like my dad bought a CD at a truck stop, and he, like, my dad said he had to pull over because he was laughing so hard.
From Brian Regan?
Yeah. And it was his first CD with the Brian Regan Live or something, with the brick wall on the front, and it's and then he sent it to me, and then I listened to it, and you're just like, how, you know, you're like, this is great. I think that's when you really get into it, is once you start seeing guys that you're like, I didn't know who this person was, and then he's now the funniest person I've ever heard in my life.
Right.
And it's always crazy to be like, how can that guy not be the most famous guy?
Right.
Yeah.
Walking around.
Yeah, I always thought anytime I saw anyone do a Comedy Central Presents, like a 30-minute, I just figured millionaire.
Yeah.
You just think that, they're on TV, well, they make millions then. And it's just like...
Some could still have a day job.
Right.
I mean, usually by a half hour, sometimes you're at least cannot be working a day job. But you can be. I mean, it's not, you know, because you go do the half hour, it's not like you then go headline all over the country, especially now. Like, so now you go do it. And then I remember when I got my Comedy Central Presents, the half hour, it was, they called me and they're like, are you ready for your road work to triple? And I was like, so I'm going to do 3 dates this year. Like, I wasn't doing any road work. I didn't know. And it did not triple after that, you know.
But it put you on the map, though.
It put you on the map. It wasn't like it was these are all the steps you got to take. But it's like stuff just doesn't like. It's like doing late night now versus doing late night with Carson. Like you know, at the beginning it could help and change everything, and then stuff just gets Now you go do it. The presents helped, and it does. It's like a lot of people see it. People do come out, but it's not. It doesn't like nothing. And it's maybe a good thing now. But it's no one like there's not a ton of like one thing that can make someone like blow up. You have to like really earn it, and you have to whatever you do a half hour, and then it still takes from that was 2010 or something to now 2017, to where at least the Netflix thing is the first thing that was like people are starting to come like out to see. So I mean that's 7 years after that, and that's good because it makes you have to get really good.
Yeah, and you got that joke where you talk about how you're getting ready to quit comedy, and you're not going to call Cosby or whatever. But like, how was there a point where you were actually thinking about it? Because I mean, you put in so much work and you spent years in New York, and I mean, did that ever cross your mind? I mean, you were married, you had a kid, like
no, I mean, I wasn't going to quit. Like when I did that, I just kind of did that joke because I always thought it was funny. Like, because we don't have, and I still think it's funny. It's like even if I wanted to quit now, I don't like. There's no one to quit to. We don't have bosses. But it's So like I wasn't like thinking about quitting at that time. But it was. It's just. It is. We have a job that no one makes us do this. No one wants us to do it. No one needs us to do it. Like. We got to make people want us to do it, or make people think that they need to hear this, because people don't. Like, they're fine. There's plenty of other people doing it already. Right. So it was always. It's just very interesting. It's if you want to. I mean, really, if I wanted to quit now, like I don't know, like I just have to call people up and tell them, like, if I wanted, I don't know. Like, there's no one that's going to be in charge. You have your bosses, or you kind of, I don't know. But I never had, I remember I had one time my wife asked me before we had our daughter, if how long would you do it, before if it wasn't going anywhere. But I mean, I always told her. That's what I always tell young comics is you tell them there's no, I'm gonna do it forever. I don't know.
Right.
You either, if you're married to a comedian or something, it's and the comic has got to think that, and you either got to be on board or not on board. Just be either you can be along for the ride or not along for the ride. So,
right.
But this is what it's going to be.
Yeah, and I see it happen all the time where you got comics that get into it and they get wrapped up in the lifestyle, and their married life falls apart.
Yeah.
My wife can't friggin' say anything to me. She's the one that got me going with this. It was her birthday present. She said, "You're going to do an open mic for my birthday instead of giving me something." So it's her fault.
Oh wow, yeah, that is
Nice.
So anytime
she can regret it.
Yeah, anytime I come in at 3 a.m., I'm like, "Hey, this is your fault."
Yeah.
I love how every time we're on the air, he takes a chance to blame his wife.
On why we're even sitting here right here.
I do. Every chance I get.
Yeah.
She hates me. No.
She does hate you. She loves every other comedian. She hates her own husband. We've learned that.
I think that's what all wives comedians they don't their favorite comedian would never be their husband.
No.
Right.
But it's almost it's the same way you watch you watch other comedians and you get tired of your act and you're I wish I was like that. You just want to be another comedian. You're my stuff's garbage. So
right. I do have moments like that a lot. So I know that you're a huge Vandy fan.
Yeah.
And I know Madison's been dying to ask you some questions.
Yeah. So I got a couple questions I wanted to ask you. Just being a Kentucky fan, we have to feel like we have similar problems with football.
Yeah.
But I got to ask you, what coach currently affiliated with Penn State or formerly do you despise more? Would it be James Franklin or Jerry Sandusky?
You would think it will be Sandusky. Just I'm not. There'd be a lot of fans. That's a very college football fans though that would be like Franklin. That's such a perfect answer.
Are you still pretty angry about him leaving?
I was never done because he went home. He's from there, so it's like the guy Scott Frost that was for UCF that's going back home to Nebraska.
Yeah.
And I saw UCF tweeted out "Congrats, coach! You're going back home. We wish you the best." And I like that. So I've never had a problem with I don't have a problem with them going home. When they go home, it's yeah, dude, he's worked hard to get to this point. He deserves it. He has it right. And for us, I would build a statue for Franklin. He got us. He got them even we got an indoor facility that Vanderbilt, the administration never would have given them. We have a big. I think our administration is the main problem. They don't care about football, and so they don't want to put any money into it. And he had to force them to even do that. So that kind of stuff, all that he did. He got us. Even Mason was such a big coaching hire. That guy to even consider Vanderbilt. Right. And to pull him away from Stanford that's all Franklin.
Right.
If he wasn't there, we wouldn't have got to do that stuff. So I've never had a problem with those coaches. I never understood even coaches get in weird positions. When Nick Saban left the Dolphins, everybody was mad at him because he lied to us when we asked him if he was leaving. You're well, what do you want him to say?
Right.
You want him to say he's leaving? If you quit your job, you don't go, I'm going to quit, just so you know, but I'm going to tell you in a little bit. I don't know if the other job's going to happen.
Right.
Just so you know, I'm trying to quit
Well,
this
I remember, because Franklin talked about how, I remember his press conference, he said, this isn't a stepping stone job for me, this is a destination job like that. And, what he did there was unbelievable. Unbelievable. What is he, 9-3, 2 years in a row, beating Tennessee.
Look what he's doing at Penn State.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
And that was quick. It was right after probation,
He, to pull Penn State around, that's unbelievable. Everything that they had is, attached to them as a program. That was a place that you think could have just died.
Yeah.
And he went in and just did it. And it's hard, when they say that kind of stuff and it is a destination jump. But sometimes I think he would have stayed there if the administration would have been better for him. He had to. I've getting arguments with my Vandy friends about it. But Jordan Rodgers, who was our quarterback, he tweeted a bunch of stuff about how, like, you know, when Franklin was there, he had to renegotiate his contract 3 times just to keep getting, just to put the pressure under them to make them, like, build an indoor facility.
Right.
That in that indoor facility, when they were there, when we went to our bowl game, they wanted to. It was snowing outside, so the football team went to go practice in there, and they were like, "No, you can't, because there's a rec game going on."
Oh,
and so they wouldn't let them practice. And like that's the kind of stuff that they're up against, and that's the stuff that's going to make a guy be like, "Well, I thought this was a place I would stay, but like this is insane. Like I'm not fighting you guys over." Just
Right.
like letting
Right.
us like
When you could go to a place like Penn
But
State
they don't
where all
actually
they
have
care
an
about is
athletics
football.
department, though. They don't actually have an athletic
who
department.
Vandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Didn't
had.
they dissolve it, like 10
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago?
but they got a guy. David Williams is the AD now. They did. The guy that went to Ohio State. He whatever his name is. He got rid of like the athletic department there, and I think they have it. David Williams is like the guy that does it now. But I mean everything else looks kind of good. Bryce Drew looks good. Basketball, Corbin, and baseball is actually he's a powerhouse. So everything's kind of lined up good, and football is just still, they still got to, I don't know, they got to, I wish they'd give them some money or act like they care about the program at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got in a fight with Madison earlier because I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan.
Yeah.
And the one quarterback I despise was Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
And I know he went to Vandy. I just cannot stand him. He's like, I love Jay Cutler. And I'm like, Jay Cutler's.
I know. So a friend of mine does. His brother-in-law puts together like he lives in Nashville and he just does like really nice like speaker systems in houses there. Like and Jay Cutler was like one of his first clients that he did it for, and like they just had like a good conversation, became really good friends, and like Jay like flies him out to like games now, just for, like this is like his speaker guy. So like ever since I heard that, I was like that just seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
And I also like you were saying like he complains a lot. He took so many hits in Chicago, and he would just get up and he would do his little head thing, and
it wasn't that he complained. He just looked like he was an arrogant little prick all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was a Cutler defender. I think Cutler got screwed in Denver. I didn't think he did anything wrong there, and then he got blamed for it. But Josh McDaniels came in and threatened a guy that was going to the Pro Bowl.
He should have never been traded. I mean, he was a Pro Bowler at Denver.
Yeah.
He should have never been traded to the Bears.
Kyle Orton, I think, was the trade. Is that
Matt Castle.
Yeah.
Castle? Okay.
That's my Bill Belichick. That's why he's the greatest ever. He gave Matt Castle a career because Tom Brady goes down, and then now he's like, Matt Castle's he's at the Titans as far as I know, and he's he's done nothing. So Cutler, they have that like it's always like the famous story like did you hear the story about when Cutler's peeing at a restaurant or at a bar, and he's just at a urinal, and a guy comes up next to him, and he's like, oh hey man. He's like, I went to Vandy as well, and then Cutler just goes, "Don't care."
I never heard that.
That sounds about right.
It's a perfect Cutler story. Like he's just sitting there, don't care, like, and the guy just has to go. Oh, all right.
But despite all that, his wife is super hot.
Yeah.
And she was I forgot her, Christy Cavallari. Is that what it is? From the Hills.
Yeah.
She used to be a reality TV star. So I guess
Yeah, he's doing all right.
He's doing all right. And I was watching him today, actually, before this podcast. He was playing Dolphins.
Yeah, they're playing
and
good.
they won, and they actually played pretty well. So
Yeah, he's done. I wanted him to do good when he came back to get a fair shot, like because he did get killed. I mean, he get like with the Bears, like there were.
Oh yeah,
like,
we had no offensive line.
Yeah, he was getting like sacked, like it's like ridiculous.
40 sometimes a year. It was crazy.
But he just stands. He puts his hands on his shoulder pads.
Did you see what happened to Eli Manning today?
He didn't.
Oh, he got benched.
Yeah, he got benched.
Yeah, they didn't start him, right?
Right.
Yeah, broke his streak.
How is it? How is it his fault? What's going on? In
That's
New
crazy.
York?
That's infuriating because it's like that guy.
He's got 2
I think
rings,
that
for
guy's
Christ's
going to get
sake.
fired too. Like Ben McAdoo's, like he's going to get fired. I was like reading stuff like in the next 24 hours he's going to get fired.
Yeah.
So it's infuriating to be like, so you just came here just to break a dude's streak,
Right.
That like that's all you're doing is like, well, we need to move on, and you're like, you're not even moving on, dude. Like you're doing like you don't like Eli Manning, and you're that's one of the most evil things I've ever seen done. Because it's like, it doesn't matter, dude. You are 2-9. It's like Eli's getting killed. The whole team's garbage.
Right.
And so now you come in and go, well, how to fix it is just like, I'm going to ruin this guy. That's like a true evil of a person to like.
I thought it was pretty messed up.
Well, you know what I think the most evil part about it is they're starting Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Who's horrendous.
Yeah.
Like, and Eli Manning, he's a legend over there.
Wait, isn't Mariota still available somewhere?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Geno, I would feel like if you're Geno, I would be like, yeah, I don't want it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I'm not doing
It'd be
that,
like
dude.
going in and like benching Cal Ripken because the Orioles were. You just like, why would you do that?
Yeah, you got this crazy streak going. It's like it doesn't matter. He like shows up. He's won 2 Super Bowls to beat the Patriots both times, and you like give him a little respect. But then you bring a guy in. Ben McAdoo doesn't even look like a good guy. Like he's just everything about him. You're just like, you're the worst.
Well, he'll be on the chopping block hopefully with John Fox.
Oh, I agree. He's going to be gone really soon.
Yeah, he might be gone today.
Yeah.
What other? We live in the Southeast, and college sports is huge to us. But like, you spend a lot of time in New York and L.A. They don't really care about college sports there nearly as much. What other comedians do you get to talk college sports with? Because that's like, who else is into it?
Dan Soder, he's into it. Joe List is into it. Tom Segura is into it. Me and him started texting past couple years just because we both had people telling us like, you guys are a lot alike, so y'all should talk. He's a big Florida State guy, so I'll text with him some about it, and then. I think who else? Like, there's not a ton. I mean, there's guys that are into like big games, but Mike Vecchione follows some of it. A lot of NFL,
right?
You know, Big J's a big Eagles fan, and so you can talk to him about Eagles stuff, kind of. But I don't know. Yeah, it's not a ton. I mean, you really like. I remember being in New York and L.A. and like a lot of L.A. was great just because the time difference. Most big games are over before a show would start.
That's awesome.
So that's
convenient.
Yeah, that's the best, man, because you're just done. You do miss some. Like I had McGregor Mayweather fight. I was in Sacramento. And it was like the way it was timed out, because they were fighting in West Coast time, so they were having to start at like 9 or 10. So I missed like the first like 7 rounds of it. But you just order it. I order a lot of these. Like if I want to watch something, like I'll watch UFC. If I want to watch something, like you just I'll order it in the green room and just.
I'm a huge UFC fan. What do you think about GSP, man?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, he's like real hurt though now or something, right? Like,
yeah, but I mean, he came back and it was like, my God, and he looked better than he did originally. You know, it was like, Jesus. I
got to meet Louis J. Gomez does a podcast with Michael Bisping, so they recorded one of them in my hotel room because I was in LA.
Cool.
And so I got him. I was on it for a second, and then I'm obviously, good friends with Lewis, but that's the first time I met Bisping, and Lewis and Bisping are pretty close now.
Yeah.
And so it was very cool. It was right before the GSP fight, and it was just neat to meet him, and we were just asking him. We're like, what's the confidence that guy has, walking around. I was like, do you ever worry about anything? Like, because you can literally beat up anybody you can see. Like, there's no one. He's already such a big guy, but like, there's no one that you could like not beat up.
He's been in the fight game for usually these fights. He was in like the third Ultimate Fighter, second Ultimate Fighter.
He was.
So it's like 12 years ago, and he's like reaching his peak now, where he's got a belt. That's.
And what will happen is some young kid will come up and knock him off his pedestal, and because he's got too old. I mean,
they already did. I mean, GSP did. Then he just lost. He fought again, and on real short notice.
Yeah, like a week or something.
Yeah, and got rocked pretty hard. But I mean, he was like, he shouldn't have probably been. He was trying to do the right thing and fill in and be like, whatever, why not? I'll go do something.
Yeah. I mean, the paycheck for it is probably worth him doing it.
Yeah, just go do
his
it.
Family.
What do you think about what McGregor's going to do next? What do you think?
I don't know. I just hope he's not in too much trouble. I hope he doesn't like lose his mind and like just drop off. And just because he's like too famous and he's too, you want to see him fight again. And it's hard to see him. It's like John Jones. I mean, like John Jones, you want to just see because you're like, I mean, you're Michael Jordan.
He can't keep his ass out of trouble.
He's a once in a lifetime athlete, and it's just infuriating to be like, dude, just don't, like, you don't have to do this stuff.
Dude,
like,
you don't have to do coke. Stop.
My favorite stuff was following McGregor on like him and his wife, like on Instagram.
Yeah,
they do stuff like they were like, he took a selfie and they were clearly driving. and the selfie's like off to the side door, so then no one's looking at the road. And then she's pregnant. This was before they had their kids. She's pregnant, and her feet are up on the dashboard, and she's like, and they're just sitting there. And the post thing was like, keeping my feet up like you're supposed to when you're pregnant. And then everybody's like, not when you're driving. like you shouldn't be taking this picture, guys. Like, no one's paying attention. The stuff that they do, like, they don't have. I have a new I love seeing like celebrities that have kids and they don't know how to like hold their kids. They don't, like, you can really tell like they're not in this kid's life. But you see, I saw one picture where The Rock once had, not saying he's not a bad dad or something, but it's just like he had a picture holding his new kid, and it's like the kid's like on the side of his hip, like halfway down his leg, where you're like, he doesn't know how to like hold a baby. Like, he hasn't, like, I don't think he's holding. The best was Dustin Johnson and Gretzky's daughter. They after a U.S. Open, they were walking with their kid, and I mean, it was like, you're like, please, someone go get that kid. Like, they just both of them, they're like, just don't know how to hold it. It's like trying to hold a bag of groceries weird. And then you're just clearly someone else holds this kid when they're around.
Right.
Like, and now they're like, well, y'all should do it because you're going to be on TV. And then you watch it going, just someone, please just let the nanny walk with them and holding that baby.
And that was another guy that was on coke, Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, he came back around good.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. Now I understand why those pictures of Michael Jackson holding this kid outside the window. He just had no idea. He had no idea. You don't
hold
do that.
it like over a rail. I mean, that's the insanity of like, that is someone that's like, what are you doing? Dude? Why? Like, why? And he's like, this is fun, right? And then you're like, no.
Look, he likes it.
Yeah.
No, he's terrified.
They don't. I don't know what their life is like. I mean, I don't think not even saying they're bad parents or anything, but it's like, it is just like, I think they do have help. And it's just fun to see.
And you wonder why these kids grow up messed up.
No, we don't want
Yeah. You kind of go
Just
like,
look
that's
at a few
why.
of these pictures. Figure it out.
I just personally hope that McGregor gets back in the ring. I knew he wasn't going to win that fight, mainly just because he doesn't have the gas in the tank to go that many rounds.
Yeah, he did good. He doesn't, and that's all. That's what Mayweather was. It was so impressive to. Really is to see Mayweather he let him hit him and let him figure him out, and then he's like, all right, and then he just buries him.
I mean, he made him fight, though. That's the first time I see Mayweather actually go on the offense instead of just running from his opponent.
It was very fun to watch. I mean, so many people were saying like it's a waste of money and blah blah blah. I love like any kind of big event of anything. That's why UFC is exciting, because they do so many of them, and I don't watch all of them. Yesterday they had one. I'll see what happened, but I'll watch it if I can, but but it's like they do have so many big events.
They do,
and they got a lot of big names fighting, and then you're like, so it's fun to get to see that. I want to see McGregor and Nate Diaz again. Like that would be
a third fight.
A third one.
I tell you that second one was amazing. I mean, they both had second and third wins throughout that fight.
Yeah, I thought McGregor was like at the beginning. He's like, oh, he's got him.
Yeah,
Nate Diaz just keeps getting hit, and it doesn't matter. Yeah. The Diaz brothers are like two.
They're animals.
I saw Nick Diaz outside of a hotel once, and I was like, hey man, I was like, big fan. He's like, and he just got into like a regular car with some chick, and it's like, it was just, like, you're like, that's why it's so great.
Yeah.
Because they're just maniac. Like, they're two dudes that would like, you would get into bar fights, and you'd have to be like, guys, you can go to jail. Like, you're going to kill someone. And they were telling, Lewis told me, he knows whether this was true or not, but he said Nick Diaz got in a fight with some bikers or something once. Like, he was on a bike and got in a fight, and the guy might have stabbed him in the leg with a pin. Like they got in like a crazy fight, and then Nick Diaz respected the guy so much he became his sparring partner, and like then they hung out. Like, and it's just
funny.
a guy. Yeah, it's great. These are like where you're like they're celebrities.
Yeah,
right.
But they just don't act like it, and they don't care, and I love it. I love it.
That's kind of cool. Ronda Rousey, you think she's ever coming back, or you think she's done?
Yeah, I mean, unless she did something like just to make some money or something like that. But yeah, that was embarrassing. Like her,
Very embarrassing.
Yeah, that was like you're in there with someone that's like if you want to see what it'd be like if you fight a UFC fighter, it's like that Ronda Rousey fight would be it.
Right.
Like she was just out of it. Holly Holmes was very surprising too. I thought because she won that fight and then she just kind of started losing a bunch of them. Like
yeah.
I thought she was gonna like take over, and then I like that Rose girl, the one that had the shaved head that just
yeah.
She's fun and like she's just
cold.
very
She's
quiet
stone cold,
and like and so I'm a big fan of her.
I love watching the female fights half the time more than the guy fights because the females get in there. They scrap, man.
That's something to say for the sport to be like not like no offense to most women's sports, but like they're not highly watched.
Right.
And and UFC is like they can headline.
Oh yeah.
They can be. You can be, and you'll be more excited about that fight.
Yeah.
Than any other one. That Amanda Nunes, she's fun to watch. And did she just lose it?
She did.
Yeah. And but she's fun to watch. So yeah, it is exciting.
Yeah, she's scrapped. They get in there. They have, a lot of times you see these guys, they're doing this, they're just squaring off with each other without actually doing contact. The ladies go into it. I mean, they really go.
Yeah,
and I love that. Yeah.
I love it too.
Yeah.
Do you have something else you want to ask me?
Yeah, I do want to ask you your 3 least favorite fan bases, and then one
fan bases.
Fan bases, like you probably travel.
I like this.
Obviously, I think I know one of them. Sports.
For sports.
Sports. Yeah.
Tennessee.
Obviously.
Even though I'm in the territory, I'm not a fan of Kentucky fans.
Yeah.
I've had some. Kentucky fans can be very loud and like yell at you and like it's not all of them obviously, but like they just have a notorious they're known for they've been the ones like when Kentucky would beat us at home or something a while ago. I just remember like them screaming at us or trying to get in fights with you, and
that sounds about right.
And you're sitting there like, all right, dude, like it's calmed down. I haven't really dealt. Yeah, I haven't dealt with Kentucky besides that was a long time ago. But it was wild because I thought Vandy, Kentucky was like more of a rival than Vandy and Tennessee, just because we matched up in football and then basketball. You guys were always better, but we could beat you and we have beat you and like
we have a lot of trouble at Memorial Gym.
Yeah.
Just the whole setup there.
We won by like 41. My cousin went to it. That's a Kentucky fan.
We were down like 41-9 at halftime.
Yeah, it was great. That was great. That was the crazy. That's probably my favorite game that's ever happened. I don't feel like we've ever beat anybody like that in anything. And just to be, then you guys came back.
That was Billy Gillespie, so we don't count those years.
Yeah. That's the only ones I count. That was my favorite coach in Kentucky.
Just bring up that name.
That was your favorite coach.
Yeah. Billy Gillespie. My Alabama fans too, like are tough. And my wife's from Alabama. She's an Alabama fan. So, but I know they can. They're notorious. There's some bad ones out there. Not all of them, but it's the ones that take stuff way too serious and like.
Yeah.
It's like Raider fans or something like those guys are like that's like scary. Like you shouldn't be scared if you're like I want to go watch my team play at Oakland, and then you shouldn't be like
they might kill you.
One guy almost did die. So yeah, you got to like there's points where you got to be like this is like too much.
Yeah. I think it's funny because I'm from the Northeast. I was born in Massachusetts, raised in Connecticut, and I went to University of Connecticut. So I'm a Husky. All right. Yeah. So I come down here. Now we didn't care about college sports that much. Being from the Northeast, I come down here and I'm starting to become a UK fan just because you get kind of swept up in the emotions that happen. Yeah. My wife's a huge UK fan, but anytime they're like, yeah, go Cats, and I'm like, go Huskies. I'm still there.
Well, that'd be a real big matchup.
I know
like UConn, Kentucky.
Yeah,
they play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean female basketball, they destroy anybody, but
that's pretty wild what they got going on over there. I mean, but it just it's unbelievable to as many games as they win, and I mean, there's just no like. I think it just shows how like different like the sport is. Like it's not. I mean, obviously, good teams are going to play better, but I mean, it is like bananas. Like, just no one is like.
I mean, that program is just amazing, and
yeah. I mean, there's a point. Like, it's not even like it's. I mean, no one's going to watch. I mean, you watch it if they get close to like some kind of record. Like, then you're like, all right, I'll see if they win this game or whatever.
Yeah, because last year they topped UCLA for the most championships.
Yeah,
which was kind of nice to see.
Yeah, what is it like?
It's ridiculous.
It's got to be 12.
Something like that.
UCLA's got 11, so.
Yeah.
It's women's basketball. It doesn't count, Josh. Seriously.
Oh, tell them that.
Don't tell them that. I'm telling you that. It doesn't count. We're in Kentucky.
They could all kick your ass. Well, we're getting down to the wire here. Nate's going to be here one more night, and we're going to be sorry to see him go. Is there anything coming up you want to plug?
I'll be in Indianapolis next week.
Oh, fantastic.
Crackers downtown. The other one shut down.
Yeah,
so,
Rod Ripple shut down.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, it's a great room.
It was. I'll be down there next week, whatever it is, Thursday.
Well, before you leave, though, I just wanted to ask you, so who is your favorite comedian all time? If you had to just say one.
Oh, if I say one, I mean, my favorite of all, like that is meant to like Seinfeld would be, like I thought his last special was unbelievable.
It was.
We saw him at Cluster Festival in San Francisco, and he performed outside. It was like 50 degrees, and there's a lot of younger people, and I mean, it just was. And there's a bunch of us comics. We're all sitting there like, everybody's got their own like, I don't know. Last time I saw him, it was like whatever, and like he just went out and like destroyed, and it was great. And then his special was great, and everything that guy does is unbelievable. So Seinfeld's always been, Comedian is like great, the movie, and that's all awesome. And then the one that was talking like this guy Kurt Metzger was a big. Kurt is. I was kind of started with Kurt, but Kurt is one of the funniest guys. As far as like joke writing, like Big J is like one of the funniest people I've ever met. Like, but Kurt is also, he's just, I mean, like just the stuff he comes up with.
He's one of my
and the
favorites.
way he thinks it's unbelievable. And I mean, he's extremely underrated as a comic. I mean, he's one of the best. It's nuts, and he's someone that I would go watch. If you don't see him for like 4 months, you're like, I need to go see him just to see
what he's talking about now.
If you got something new coming up, that's really cool.
And Attell is the other. Attell is
David
the if I had to go see anybody, I'd maybe go see David Attell, like just because it's going to be fun and it's rapid jokes, and then he's he's obviously one of the best ever. So.
Yeah, he was here like a year ago. A little bit over a year ago. He bought pizza for the staff, and he was the nicest dude.
Yeah, it was really nice. Ish, you got anything else?
No. What was that?
Madison?
I'm good.
Nate?
Fun.
We did it.
Got anything else? He said we did it.
No, we made it through it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate it. We are going to be live again from Willie's tomorrow. Don't forget, guys, if you want to email us, it's crossroadscomedyproject@gmail.com. You can ask Ish if he's willing to lose some weight, because we're all getting sick of looking at him the way he is. I can't go a podcast without insulting him at least once. I can't.
It's funny because Josh apparently doesn't have any mirrors in his house.
Oh, no, I do. And they make me look bigger. I'm very sad at that. But you can find us on Podbean and iTunes, and that's where this podcast will be resting here as of tomorrow. And for Nate Bargatze, is it Bargatze? Bargatze.
Yeah.
Bargatze. Nate Bargatze.
Love that name.
I do. I like it. Ish Shalash, Madison Pohl, I'm Josh Sardam. Thanks very much, guys.
See you guys.
Captain Jack est arrivé de loin. Aujourd'hui encore on chante le